The story for Doctor Who City of Death is the Doctor and Romana's plan for a peaceful holiday in Paris soon goes wrong. Cracks are beginning to appear in the fabric of time, indicating that dangerous time experiments are underway. Even the well-beaten path to the Louvre leads the Doctor deeper into mystery. Much of which revolves around Count Scarlione, a sinister figure who has 6 Mona Lisa paintings stashed in his cellar, and they're all originals. Now this story, I was completely blown away by it. I had no indication this is one of the top-rated Doctor Who stories of all time. I had nothing going into it other than it was set in Paris. That's all I knew about it and nothing more. I was so impressed with it. First of all, the story itself, it's complicated, easy to understand, well layered, and just an overall fun ride to see. I was blown away by that. It's the actors. Every actor was amazing, and they worked so well together. They were just feeding off of each other, throwing things. It was just perfect, like the perfect cast to interact with in any given show. It was just perfect, and I was surprised that Julian Glover was in this. Julian Glover was in a Doctor Who story back in the 2nd season during the first Doctor's term. Julian Glover played Richard III. In this one, he plays an entirely different character, and he is and he's the last of a species, the Joggeroth, and he's trying to save them by going back in time to save his own people by not blowing up before life was created on Earth, because his ship, when it rose from the prehistoric Earth, blew up. The radiation caused life to form on Earth. And he wants to stop that so his race can go on, but the thing is that it happens at the expense of all existence on Earth. And just the way he played it was just perfect. Julian Glover played like... The best way to describe it was how somebody described it in the documentary, was that he played like someone meant to be a James Bond villain, a James Bond soon-to-be, a James Bond villain soon-to-be. It was just like the perfect, sinister role, and you could tell he had fun doing it, and he just reveled in that villainy. It was just beautiful. And just the way he dressed, too, was so perfect, elegant, and it was just everything that makes a James Bond villain, but science fiction. It was just great. And... also, the scenes were beautiful too. Yes, even there were some scenes set on the sound stages, which still looked completely beautiful, but they also got to film in Paris. They actually went on location to film in Paris, in the streets of Paris and all that. It was beautiful. I mean, just the way it was shot was so well done. It was very cinematic, but for television. But the way they shot the scenes, reflective shots shooting through... postcard revolving shells, and it just so beautifully shot, and it just original, and it made you feel like you're watching a movie, and it made you kind of like felt like you were there. And also on top of that, and this is kind of both ironic and also very fitting for Doctor Who, is that it felt like a time capsule of 1979 Paris. It looked like you just discovered a civilization, and here's a little video to show it. And that's just what it looked like a piece of time just frozen in an episode of Doctor Who. It was beautiful. And although, yes, they did have sets, like I mentioned earlier, those sets were beautiful. They were well done. The chateau looked great. The basement, the prehistoric Earth, yeah, did show its, Star Trekian type of look, but even that was neat and original. But the point is that past Doctor Who, especially the past couple of years, have had budget problems. This year, it looked like they found a nice balance between set physical budget and special effects budget. And with that balance, it kind of, sometimes they would feel a bit constricted and reserved to only do episodes in sets in the studio at all times. That was what it felt like last year, and it felt like this year a little bit. Not so much this year, but particularly with this story, The City of Death, it felt, especially when they filmed in Paris, they felt more free. And the combination of the Paris location shootings and the set pieces and how each one was fitted in with the episodes, it didn't look nor felt constricted. It felt like they had absolute free range, and it's went smoothly across the board. It didn't feel stiff. Yes, it does have the flaws of the wobbly sets and some of those other things, but it was still pretty damn cool. And I particularly enjoyed that. The humor was also surprising too. It was like good humor, good in context, in scene humor. It's not the type of humor that ruins scenes or just has to announce itself. It was just perfectly blended in, and some of it was just created by the either the writers, the directors, the cast, and all that. It was a combination of different things, but that just humor was very well done. It was beautiful, funny. I cracked pretty hard, and some of it I cracked. I was like, I shouldn't be laughing this hard at it, but I am, and it was great. Yeah, it was all very well done. What was also interesting, though, is like I said, the complexity, the story of financing to create this time capsule so that the guy could go back in time and save his own people. But what was interesting, though, is also how this was pointed out to me in the documentary, which I was surprised by, was how each character views art. One either sees it as a means, one sees it as status, one sees it as worth, money, and one sees it as what it is, beauty, and what it looks like, and one kind of, I forget what the other one saw, but each character sees art as something different, and it's something to pick apart and analyze and think about, especially with art, how you think about it, particularly with how we view art in reality and how many things that people can do by hand can be done by computers. Because they do mention that, Romana mentions that on Gallifrey, paintings are done on computer. So it does make you think a little bit about, what is really art and how do you measure art and how it looks. But there's also a lot more to pick apart with this story as well. There's just layers upon layers. Much like the last story, there's just layers upon layers of stuff to take out, look at, polish up, analyze, and discuss, and look over. And it was just so much, and it's just wrapped in this neat little bow for you. And of course, this has the most random cameo of all in the scene where the Doctor has to run to the TARDIS. John Cleese and another actress, I'm blanking on her name, I believe her name is Ellen or something, but she's a very wonderful British actress. He and her are in this art gallery analyzing the TARDIS, and they talk about its afunctionality, dysfunction from its function to being here, and seeing how it's art. But then the Dr. Romana and somebody that's helping him go in the TARDIS and go away, and they're like, very unique, yes, a fine art, It was just hilarious. The most random cameo, but beautifully well done, and the nice transition into the climax of the story. But yeah, it is just this story was just not only fun but intellectually just brilliant, and it's just like. And a lot of people say that the reason why it's so great is many different reasons. One of the ones that people agree upon but also disagree upon is Douglas Adams. Douglas Adams had written a story beforehand for Doctor Who, which was The Pirate Planet from the previous season. And with this season, he became script editor. But the thing is, though, he was inexperienced. And it shows a time or two, particularly in future episodes. But he did come up with this story. And also, well, he didn't come up with it. It was actually written by different people, and they had to go under pseudonym because of not only rights, but because of unions and stuff. So the original writer, Douglas Adams, and the producer basically wrote this story, but also the cast added to it during rehearsals as well. So it's kind of a combination of different people. But Douglas Adams is one of the people that is credited for making this story what it is, especially since he had to do a lot of the rewrites and did rewrites for other stories as well. But the problem is, though, Douglas Adams was working on Doctor Who. He was working on continuing the radio series of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, writing the book Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and writing the TV show for Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So he had his table full, and while Doctor Who hindered on that, it kind of got hindered by it, unfortunately, this priceless gem was created. So there's some good that came out of it, but a lot of bad, because 1979, I understand, is regarded as not one of the best seasons of Doctor Who, and I've only just started at this new season of Doctor Who. And it does show. I mean, the last episode, Destiny of the Daleks, was good. I mean, it was good. I did enjoy it, but there was a lot of flaws in it, and there are flaws with this one too, not as much as was in that previous one or the continuing ones, from my understand. But yeah. It's kind of like the third season of the original series of Star Trek. The third season is not the best season of Star Trek at all. It is the worst season, and there's plenty of episodes I could list to say why. But there are a few gems in that third season of Star Trek, and I can only list a handful of them. And I don't want to bore you with that because we're talking about Doctor Who. But yes, it's so 1979 season of Doctor Who is much like the third season of Star Trek. There's not a lot of good things, but there are a few gems in there worth looking out at. So to finish that, I hereby give you the rating of this. I give this one full 5 stars out of 5. There's no argument. This is just a brilliant story of Doctor Who. It went through so much detail. It's I think Stephen Moffat, because they had Stephen Moffat in the documentary, said it best. This is what happens when both a fan and a genius write Doctor Who. Because of all the complexities, little nuances, including facts to history. Because at one point the Doctor leaves a note for Leonardo da Vinci. He writes it backwards and in reverse, so that you have to have a mirror in front of it, which is something da Vinci was an expert at. And just a lot of other different things. So yeah, it is brilliant. This will go down as one of my favorites, along with Genesis of the Daleks. So yeah, I can't wait to see more of season 17. I know, like I said, it's not the best season, but I find, even in the past Doctor Who episodes that were terrible, I found some really good stuff in them. Not just the full story wise, but little tiny different things, from like costumes, sets, or special effects. Like this one in particular, one of the best things in it too was the visual effects. There was this one scene in particular that was really awesome. There's a holographic room of the Louvre, and they planned out how they were going to steal the Mona Lisa, and the special effects for it too, because they talked about, using a sonic knife to cut the glass, but then the laser beams would show up, and they use this deflector to shift the light around in the atmosphere around the area to bend the lasers, and that was beautiful. And then when they turned off the hologram, everything faded and digitized away in just a brilliant manner that made you go, that was 1979 British television special effects. Wow, that is amazing. And that is the same with some other ones. And like I said, with this season, they found a balance between their physical budget and special effects budget that equaled each other out. So the episode may be terrible, but some of the other things that support the episode may still stand out and be good. All right, and I am starting to ramble, so I will end this here. Thank you all for watching. Have a lovely day, and I will see you next time. Bye.